Well, welcome to the live stream. Hopefully, we have some people joining us tonight. We do have a couple guys on here. Let me switch this up here. Turn chat on the air. And let's turn the sky cam off. Cool. And let's see here. Chat on. Kris was here earlier. I hope Kris is back. So let me know. Kris was chatting with me way earlier. I see Hank in here. So Hank, if it's just you and I tonight, we are going to have a live stream one way or the other. It is great to be back with you. And if you haven't ever been on my live stream before or watched a video, thank you so much for joining me. If you have been in a live stream with me before on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we love to chat back and forth. We're going to cover some topics tonight, and hopefully some more people will jump on with us tonight live. I am monitoring the chat, so if you say hello from wherever you are, I will be able to respond to that and put it on the air. I do have a poll up tonight. And so the question that we're starting with tonight, I'm planning on doing at least another poll, maybe two more. But the one I have up right now is, are you a PC gamer, yes or no? And if you saw in the still image, put it on the screen, we're going to talk about HyperDecks. Are HyperDecks still relevant? Let's talk fill and key. So we're going to do some demos. We're going to talk fill and key. We're going to look at After Effects. And then we're also going to make a little confession. So if you read the notes tonight, you're going to see that I have a little confession to make. And you can see the still image again of Indiana Jones PC game, also for Xbox, I believe, that came out. So again, we're going to chat about that tonight. So let me welcome in Chio and welcome in Jay, and we'll respond to some of these things you've been saying here earlier. So Chio is saying I play on PC and Xbox. That's really cool. He corrected the spell there. And so the question tonight is, let me make sure I get this right. Are you a PC gamer? So that means you have a PC, Mac, or Windows PC, and there's other iOSs or background devices that like Linux and things like that that are out there. I'm not one of those guys. I've used Mac, iOS, I've used Windows. That's the end for me. I had my first PC when I was in my 30s, and I had floppy drives, 5-inch floppy drives. You had to know DOS code in order to operate your PC. And I played some games that were just like typing answers, and then it would tell you where you are. You're on the bridge, and there's a stream flowing underneath you, and you would type, look on the bridge, and it would say, there is a pipe on the bridge, and you would type in, pick up pipe, and it would say, you now have the pipe. So it was quite fascinating back when you had to completely use your imagination, and you were only using text in those games. But I do want to talk a little bit about PC games tonight. We're going to show you a little demo of the new PC Indiana Jones game. I'm going to make a little confession about where I'm at with PC gaming and the other things that I've used here in the studio. So we're going to talk about that. Let's see. Indiana Jones is a good game. I have to get back to it. So, yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. We're also going to talk about HyperDecks. As I said in the still image tonight, we're asking this question right here on the screen. Are HyperDecks still relevant? And then we're going to talk fill and key. So you can see an icon there. I'll put that up later on the screen so we can talk about that. For right now, let's keep saying hi. To those who are popping in the chat, it is good to have you, Doug, on the live stream tonight. Happy New Year to you as well. This is my first live in 2025. I decided not to go live on New Year's Eve. A number of reasons why I did that. trying to recover for a trip that we have planned. So want to just say up front tonight that I will be missing next week's live as well. So we'll be back here in the studio 2 weeks from tonight. So keep that in mind. I will be away from my my PC, away from my studio, and so that's the story. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the night's live stream. But thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. It's always good to be live because it gets a chance to stretch me a bit. I get to process some things out loud. If there's new tech or new things happening, we can cover it here on the live stream. Most of what I do here on the live is talk about live streaming tech. I do have audio gear in my studio. I have lighting gear in my studio. Obviously, I do video production on the side. I also do some audio live events on the side. I've been running sound now for a couple weeks on Sunday night. I'm using some of my system and a friend's system. So that is continuing to stretch my ears doing live audio. But again, want to welcome you guys here live in the studio. So let's just talk just a minute about the transition between 2024 and 2025. Most of the time, as people get ready for a new year or the first few weeks of the new year, we set goals, we make resolutions. We may decide we're going to lose a little weight. We may decide we're going to change the way we do whatever we're doing. Maybe we're going to think more seriously about retiring. Maybe we're going to write down some things that we want to purchase that year. I'm kind of processing in my head, you know, what gear that I've learned about in 2024 that I might want to bring into the studio in 2025. Sometimes it's just like goals that we set, right? So maybe we didn't feel like we spent enough time last year with our grandkids, or we didn't do enough quality time with a spouse. So I want to touch base on that just a little bit. Let me continue to say hi, Tim. It's great to have you in here tonight from down under Melbourne, Australia. Happy New Year to you as well. And I just scheduled a live stream at 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight. So Jay is going to be live tonight. I do have a meeting after my live stream, Jay, but I will try to pop over there as soon as possible. So Jay is 3 hours later than me. I believe that's true. So let me know that, Jay. I think you are on East Coast time. That should put you there would be 7 o'clock. So in 2 hours, he would be live. So go check out Jay's live stream. So again, I have a poll tonight. Are you a PC gamer? We have 10 votes, even though I only see a few people in the chat. So would you please answer the poll question? Right now, we're at 70% of those that voted say they're not a PC gamer, and 30% say yes. So again, go ahead and answer that poll if you have not done that as of yet. Jay answered my question. He will be live in 3 hours. So, well, let's take that back. It's 4 o'clock. We're starting 4:05 now. It is 7:05 there. So he will be live in less than 2 hours. We should be done and able to go over and check that out. Again, I think Shannon will still be working at that time, so she works pretty late on Tuesday, so I should have time before we have that meeting. Juris Design, Gary, it's good to have you in the chat tonight, and right back at you. Happy New Year. 2025 is going to be a great year. You say, how do I know that? I just got a gut feeling, and if you talk to some of the people around me, you're going to find out that I'm rarely wrong about that. Now, let me qualify that statement. That doesn't mean that we're not going to have challenges. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to still be some crazy things going on in our world. We know right now in the United States, we're transitioning presidents. So that's in the process right now. Electoral count has been certified, and we will have a new president sworn in very soon. It's not his first time to serve as president, so it'll be his second term, even though it was split in half by a term. So crazy things already. In Canada, Justin Trudeau has formally resigned. And so obviously things in the northern part of Canada above me are going to change. And so don't know what that looks like. Again, this is not a politics channel, but just those things in the government perspective. And then obviously stocks went up right before the end of the year. I even talked to our CPA, not our CPA, but our investment broker, and they showed us some of the numbers of what took place in the fall. And so lots of things are happening. So to qualify that next year, 2025, or this year, 2025 is going to be a good year. Again, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have trouble or things aren't going to go wrong. I'm just telling you, it is going to be a good year. So I am super excited for what's going to take place. Akil, it's great to have you. He says hello to the chat, says hello to me. Happy New Year to you as well. So again, tonight we have a full plate. We're going to talk really in kind of a different realm. I'm going to share a little bit confession about me and PC games and talk about that a little bit. You guys are going to get to see a clip of this new Indiana Jones game. Tell you why I'm showing you that here shortly. We are in the studio 2025. It is January 7th. And again, want to welcome everybody who's watching this after it was live, and especially those of you who are joining me live. And if you haven't watched these videos live with a bunch of other people and chatted, come on in, get here at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and you will be able to join us live. Again, mostly every Tuesday, with exception about 5 a year. And next week will be an exception as well. I will be away from the studio and back in the studio the following Tuesday. So keep that in mind. I'm not in a circumstance where I can remotely go live where I'm going to be. So we will be off next Tuesday and then back on again. And I'm sure you guys will find plenty of things to do with your time. Okay, so it is 10 after. I want to get rocking tonight, but I also wanted to say hi. If you have not answered the poll, I have my falling apart back cup. If you get these cups that change color when you put hot stuff in it, don't put them in the microwave. So I'm drinking from the bat cup tonight, and I'm drinking hot tea. That's all I could find quickly. I forgot to bring something in here to drink tonight, and I need it for my voice. So I ran out, and the first thing I found for my Keurig in my drawer was a black tea. It's been in there for a long time, so I grabbed it. I wanted something with a little caffeine in it. I need a little boost right now. I have been in the studio most of today, making some macros, looking at some stuff. So let's do a vote right now. Do you want to talk HyperDecks first? And are they relevant? You want to talk about this PC topic? And the confession. Again, here is our still image for tonight that I always give you a hint what we're going to talk about. So I moved me down to the bottom right, and I put that Indiana Jones logo up there for the game. And so we're going to talk about our HyperDeck still relevant. We're going to talk about fill and key. I'm going to give you some demos of what fill and key looks like. We're going to go over to After Effects. I'm going to show you a flying logo I was designing. We're then going to show you that logo on the screen. So it should be a lot of fun. And then we're also going to do a confession about me and PC games tonight. We're going to look at that Indiana Jones game. You're going to see it on the screen. I'm going to tell you why it's a part of our conversation tonight. And hopefully you'll enjoy that. So in the chat right now, type in Indy or HyperDeck. Which do you guys want to start with first tonight? I'll let you guys vote and program the show a little bit, and then we're going to get moving on. And if anybody else pops in the chat between now and then, I'll say hi while I'm waiting for your vote. Again, let your fingers do the talking, okay? It's good to have you here. Is it Kemet? I can't pronounce that very easily. So Jay says HyperDeck. So we have 2 votes for HyperDeck. Let me put that chat on the air. Welcome. Is it Kelmedge? Jones? I'll just call you Mr. Jones. Thank you for joining us tonight. Welcome to our chat. Akil votes for HyperDeck. Doug votes for HyperDeck. Just Design votes for HyperDeck. Okay, so it's pretty well flying in for HyperDeck. So let's do this. Let me make some adjustments here because I wanted to find out what you guys wanted to do first, and it's overwhelmingly coming in tonight for HyperDecks. Again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, I did that already. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for HyperDecks. So the K is a G sound. Marshallese. Wow, that's a great spelling for your name. Really cool. So congratulations on a cool name. Hopefully I didn't completely destroy it here on the live stream, but welcome. So overwhelmingly HyperDeck, which is our main topic tonight. I hope you guys will stay around so I can give you my PC confession and talk a little bit about the Indiana Jones game towards the end. Now, our HyperDeck section tonight, we're going to talk about, are they still relevant? There's already some comments in the chat. If you want to go read those, Kris, who was with me earlier, and he's here now again, he said this earlier. He says, Happy New Year. I think HyperDecks are spendy. That's just my opinion. And yeah, if you're with me live, you 100% have a right to your opinion. I am definitely not trying to, thank you, Kris. I'm definitely not trying to, we're recording now, Kris, to convince you that you need to get a HyperDeck. I really want to look at 2025, and I want to ask the question, are HyperDecks relevant? Now, I do know that some people will be watching this live stream and potentially not know what a HyperDeck is. And so we're going to go to Blackmagic's site, right there, learn to point which way. And we're going to go to the products on the top left. And then the HyperDecks are right here. They're called disc recorders on the top row of their different products. We're going to click on this. And here are some HyperDecks. So you have the typical smaller version, which is now called the HyperDeck Studio HD Mini. And that does not have fill and key. I repeat, the HyperDeck Studio HD Mini, the new version, does not have fill and key. And you're going to find out very clearly what that is here tonight. But just keep that in mind. Now, the one next to it or below it right here, that's the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. It does have fill and key. Now, let me just say real quickly, fill and key are two SDI outs. One is called A, other one's called B. A is what we call fill, and B is what we call key. And then when you go up to the HyperDeck Studio HD Pro, it has fill and key. The HyperDeck Studio 4K Pro, it does have fill and key. You have these larger units. You have the 4K HDR, it has fill and key. The 8K HDR, it has fill and key. And then you have the controller that you can match with either one of these. Now, this would be high-end studios that want a bigger LCD screen. And so that's going to take up, I believe it's 2 or 3 racks tall. Looks like it's 3 racks tall. So that's going to be typically rack mounted. You can put it on top of a desk and just slide them side by side. But usually when you put a HyperDeck in a rack, you put it on a shelf that Blackmagic Design sells, and then you can screw it to the shelf on the bottom. So they have all this row right here, these two right here have a and B channel. And then you also have the HyperDeck Shuttle HD, which is designed to be on your desk. And it does not have any SDIs out of the back. It has an HDMI in and an HDMI out. And there's plenty of other videos on my channel. I believe I unboxed that live here on the channel. I have a whole series on this channel on the HyperDeck Mini, the old version. So we'll go back up here. So this little one up here is the exact same size as the original HyperDeck Mini. The original HyperDeck Mini does have fill and key on the back. And And so keep that in mind. It has an HDMI input and HDMI output now, and it does not have a fill and key. It does have a SDI in the back. It does have an SDI loop out. But again, keep in mind that 2 of these models that we're talking about tonight do not have fill and key. So now to the question, is a HyperDeck relevant still in 2025? I would really like to ask that question. And so we are going to look at our poll right now. We have 12 votes. Are you a PC gamer? And out of the 12 votes, 75% are not PC gamers and 25% are. So we are going to end that poll. So it is officially ended. And let's see if I can start another one here. Question is, do you own a HyperDeck? Is the new poll. So if you could take a minute and answer that question, I would really appreciate it. So I know if I'm talking to people that own them or don't own one at all. So are the HyperDecks relevant in today's world? Well, a HyperDeck is just one option that Blackmagic Design has for playing fill and key. They also have Thunderbolt devices that can do the same thing. Trying to just find that category here real quick. If I can remember what category it is under. Where are you? They need to create another category here. So, I mean, if you don't want to go to a device that's run directly from your ATEM Mini Pro and automate it that way, and you want to have a device that will be able to be run from software on your computer, they do make a number of Thunderbolt devices. The 10G has not been released yet, but they make that. And I'm just not seeing that. So if anybody knows what category those devices are under, give me a little help tonight in the chat so that we can talk about it. So back to the regular HyperDeck. So the cheapest HyperDeck right now, or the least expensive HyperDeck, back to me in a laptop here, is $495. And again, that does not give you fill and key. And what fill and key does is it separates out a fill channel, that's the actual image, and then it has a key channel. And what that does is it keys out the background. So when you export a animated graphic with a alpha channel, then that alpha channel is a white channel, then it keys the background out. And so I'm going to give you guys a demo of that real quick. But $495 is the cheapest. But if you want one that does fill and key, then you're going to have to pay $695. And I have the old HyperDeck Mini in my studio that I bought about 3 years ago. I do not have the new HyperDeck Studio HD Mini, but I do have the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. That's what I'm going to be demoing from tonight. I do not have any of these other HyperDecks, but I also have a HyperDeck Shuttle, and the HyperDeck Shuttle will also let you do teleprompter. So it has 2 different features. Actually, it really has 3. It can record an HDMI in. It can also play out an HDMI video from a disc, and then you can switch over to teleprompter mode. So in reality, that device has the teleprompter mode as well, which is another different choice in the menu. And then you can actually load in files right out of Word. And so instead of bringing a regular Word document, you could actually export it as a file that will do teleprompting. And so you could use it as a teleprompter. You can see it has the giant wheel on it. And so that'll let you scroll forward and back really easy. And you can see the jog and scroll button. If you push those at the same time, then it will scroll forward and back very slow. So you could actually use it to just replay a video. So that is a great choice. And then if we click on these two, then all the HyperDecks come up here. And when you scroll down here, eventually you'll see the back. And so here is your A and B channels right here. And so again, if you don't have the A and B out, then you don't have fill, which is A, and B, which is the key, or you could call it the alpha channel. So that's the important two things you have. And what that lets you do is that's going to let you do animated graphics, even with transparencies. So imagine a graphic that's transparent crossing my shirt, like my hands are opened up here. So let's pretend this is transparency. So this is transparent in the graphic. You bring that across my shirt, and that transparency is just going to pick up the color of my shirt. But if you key this out back here, so if you key the shirt out as it's flying, you get nice, crisp graphics, even if they have transparency, because behind them is white instead of my shirt. And so that B channel is so important. So if you're asking yourself if it's just a video playback device or a recording device, when it has an A and B channel, it's not just that. It can also play animated graphics, which we are going to look at here in just a second. I'm going to give you a demo. I'm going to actually show you what the key channel and the alpha channel look like. But there's also this graphic right here. So we'll go back up here, make sure that you guys did see this that I showed you on the air. So this is the A and B SDI channels when it has a key, a fill and key. So fill would be the A and B would be the key, or alpha channel, whichever you want to call it. And then if we scroll down here, you see this graphic, which I love. I have a clip of this that I show my clients, but this really defines it. You can see the top image is fill. That's the graphic that you want everybody to see on the air. The little image below that, that's the key that cuts out the background. So those two images fly across the screen if it flies, or if it's an animated graphic to do transitions, like I'm going to show you my animated graphic here in a moment, my stinger, then those go, the white and the object go by at the same time. So it gives you a nice crisp background. And so that's kind of a look at fill and key. So let's see here. Go back to this and chat on the air. I have a Blackmagic Design HyperDeck Studio HD Pro and 2 self-made with Raspberry Pi playing Playout B. Yeah, and Playout B has their new version out, so supposedly the bugs are fixed, and Akil I did that as well. I don't use it as a HyperDeck, but here is my Raspberry Pi, and actually Joe, who is on the chat a lot of times with us, he actually helped me get this up and running. So this is basically got Playout B version 1 on it and a Raspberry Pi in the case, and I can use this like a HyperDeck. Again, Playout B had some bugs, but it will work pretty well. But again, this is HDMI out only, so it's not going to do fill and key. It's only going to do fill, so it's great for playing videos. You can even play animated graphics that do not have any transparency, but this will work as well. So that will let you do the HyperDeck features that aren't fill and key, but you will need that for anything high-tech. Happy New Year, DJ Ware. It's good to have you tonight. Let's see. Yeah, and Kill is saying that he has the same. So Let's now pop over here. Let's see, did I cover everything from their site that I wanted to? Let's see, do they have any of those other devices on here? This is that HD device, the newer version, the smaller one, and you can see it has time code available in the back now. So what they did with the space is they stole the alpha channel. They kept the alpha channel, or the A channel, the fill channel, and they stole the key channel to give it room to have time code out. It does have an HDMI out, so you can monitor it on a regular monitor without converting SDI. But again, that smallest version for $495 does not have fill and key. I'm gonna see if they show the backs of anything else. They all have different type sources of power. So the HyperDeck Studio HD Mini, the small one, has the small DC plug as well as the AC plug. Then you get into higher tech plugs when you get to HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. So the back of one of mine looks like this. And then you get to the HyperDeck Studio HD Pro, looks like that. And then you have redundancy when you buy the 4K Pro. And you can see, you can put them on a shelf and rack mount them. And so here they are broken down. Here is the shelf. They also have the DaVinci replay device on this page for pricing. So you can buy those entry-level HyperDecks. The 4K Pro and the HyperDeck Studio HD Pro also have the A and B channels out, fill and key. And then you get to SD drives when you get up to these bigger ones instead of the little SD cards like these, which are also usable, very inexpensive. But if you go to the bigger ones, you're going to have the bigger SD cards. And there's the rack shelf for mounting HyperDecks in a rack. I still have not found the Thunderbolt page yet. Here's the back of the HD smallest version. You can see there is no fill and key. You have SD out, SDI out, SDI in, HDMI out. You have the ability to record or play video files to a SD card now. So it has an SD or USB-C port. Sorry about that. Time code in and out. Then you have a reference out, reference in, Ethernet port, power, and you also have a remote in so you can remote control it, and then a regular power supply. So you do have two ways to power this little device. And on the front, you can see you have the two SD cards. When you get into this model here, now you have a headphone jack on the front, and you also have a little tiny speaker. So you can literally monitor the audio on the front of the HyperDeck HD Plus, and that's what's pictured right here. So they went a little bit bigger. They added fill and key back. They gave you a couple sources of power in the background for some redundancy. And then they also gave you a headphone input, so you can have headphones to monitor the audio and a tiny little speaker. And the speaker literally is this little hole right here. And they added this REM button. That's remote control. So if you wanted to automatically play a video when you cut to it, you can just enable that on the front of the device instead of having to go into the software to enable auto roll. It's right on the front of the device. And again, here's the back of the device I have in my studio. So now I have HDMI in and HDMI out and an A and B channel. So this is the one I recommend for $695. And so if $695 is not a value for you to play video, animated graphics, and record, sync it with time code, have an HDMI in and HDMI out so you could come right out of your camera and record into that device for $695 a 4K file. It's 30 frames per second. So if you have an EOS R like I have, or a Sony camera that will output out of the HDMI 4K, then you can record into the HyperDeck directly from the HDMI. You'll have to find out what side you have. Is it a mini or a micro or a full HDMI? output like they have on Blackmagic cinema cameras. But whatever your output is, you convert that to a standard HDMI. And as you can see right here, you have HDMI in, HDMI out, A and B SDI for fill and key. You've got SDI in, loop out, so you can loop to another redundant recorder and be recording to both of those and sync them with the time code output. So you can put two of these in a rack, have one being a redundant version, and you can sync them so the time code doesn't get messed up. You don't have any issues with what's being sent over through SDI. You still have the ability to monitor out. And the other thing too, you can monitor out through HDMI, but if you monitor out through SDI, then you actually have the ability to have graphic overlays. And those graphic overlays, I was going to show this tonight. So grab my cable here to show this. Need to change what's in this output over here. Where are you? You get this information on the screen. It tells you what the file format I'm on right now is, the size of it, time code, HDMI is the source. If I can get out of this crazy. Sorry, my clean HDMI app just took over an ad. Go back to 4. So I have all these readouts down here. It says my HyperDeck Studio HD Plus is what's on the screen. So if you use the SDI out, you get this overlay. So I'm using SDI converter out of my HyperDeck. So this is the newer version. This is the older Mini. This does have fill and key, but they don't support this anymore with new firmware updates. You can still probably buy these through eBay and get it cheaper. But again, keep in mind they're not going to update it. This is the main one I use for my intro video, my outro video. And you can see I have a video ready to go. And it's my intro video. So now you can see it. So now my intro video is up there and it tells me the information about that on the screen. And so you get that if you use the SDI out. And that's the only way you get that information. So again, so if you use the SDI out, which is the monitor out right down here, then you'll actually be able to get those same graphics. But again, if you have an HDI monitor, you're going to have to convert it in order to get that feature. So that's the back of the one that I use in my studio. This is the back of the larger one, same back on this one, except for you have these time code input right here. Then you have a reference in and out right here. And then this is a time code in right here. So it's a different kind of time code cable, but keep that in mind. And then you can see you have the bigger cards in the 12G version. And that's the back of the 12G version. Again, they're rack mountable. You get into the bigger ones, you have a nicer dial. It's got a better motor in it. So if you get past like the one that I bought, HyperDeck HD Plus, get into the bigger models, you're going to get the nicer dial. So that's an upgrade. So keep that in mind. Talking about the redundancy and the power, and then back to that page. So let's demo now, fill and key, and then I'll answer any questions that you guys might have. So let me cue the right video here. Okay, and then let me turn the audio off so you guys don't get blasted out with my transitions. Gotta remember to turn my HyperDeck audio back on before we go out tonight. Something happened that was working before we went live tonight. Let me change microphones and figure this out. There we go. Something was off. So I'm going to stop this. So on the bottom right is the alpha channel or the key channel. So when you make these graphics in software like Adobe Illustrator, you design the graphic and then you just export it with an alpha channel. So it's just like a regular video file, except for you're going to export it as an alpha channel. And now you get the white background, and that's what's going to crop the background out. So when I play this over top of me, it's not going to completely black me out. I can use this as a transition and then hide the transition. So I use it as a stinger, and I can hide the transitions from one camera to the next camera. So that's the image that you would get if you just did a playback. And I don't know why this is popping on and off, but I'm glad it was up there long enough for me to demo that, because something's going on with that input channel. Is it loose? Weird. Let's switch to another file here. All this was tested for hours today. Okay, let's try this file, see if it's working. Again, my HyperDeck must be overheating or something, because right now, there it is. So it must be loose in the back. I've been playing with the wires in the back of my studio, so I must have loosened up. So see, it's intermittent. So it might be my SD converter overheating, but it's there now. It's not. But the bottom is your key channel and your top is your fill channel. And so you have to export it with the alpha channel in order for this to work. And again, I'm not sure why it's intermittent. Shaking my HyperDeck, there it is again. So the bottom one is the key, that key's out the background, and the top is the fill. So then if we go over and hit my subscribe button, let's go back to me and a logo, and I'll fire this up here. Let's do, yeah, okay, so let's go into my upstream key 2. And let's put it on the air. So there is my subscribe logo animating. And again, that's got fill and key in it. So it's playing on the screen right there. And so I'll cut back to this version right here. And there is my logo going across the screen. So you can see it's got nice crisp edges. It's got nice crisp edges because it's got the key channel. So that's super important. So now I'm using it like I would if I was using a Stinger Live. And now you can see an example of it right there. So fill and key, I'm using two of my channels in my ATEM Extreme ISO, channel 7 and 8. 7 is the fill channel, the top. Again, that's SDI out. It's converted to HDMI, comes in the back of my ATEM Extreme ISO. And I have two Extreme ISOs in my studio, but number one is where that HyperDeck comes in. My older HyperDeck comes into my Extreme ISO number 2. And again, that gives me the fill channel. I can unplug this channel and still play this, but it's not going to be as crisp because that is cutting everything out over top of me. So I'll enable it again. It's going to roll. Okay, what happened here? My goodness. Hit the wrong button here. So as I bring this on the air, I can hide cuts. I'm back. Now I'm over here. Now I'm over here. Now I'm over here. Now I'm over here. Where am I? So you can use that graphic to do stingers, but you want the key and the fill channel in order to do it properly. And that's what happens when you have an image like that. So now let's go over to my computer. Let's see the chat here first. We put chat on the air. And DJ Ware says he also has a Playout B, but I don't use it that much. Yeah, it was a great thing to play with when that app first came out. You could put it on a Raspberry Pi, but I soon did not use mine because, again, it's a Raspberry Pi, and I have HyperDecks, so I guess if I wanted to have another HyperDeck so I could cut from a video to a video to a video, then that would give me 3 HyperDecks, which I already have. So if I wanted to cut from a video to a video to a video to a video, then I'd have to have 4 HyperDecks, and that would be a good reason to use it. Chio says, going to tech specs, and you can see the backs of the devices. Thank you, Chio. We found those. Grish, key and fill demo. Yep. Other mic is still on. Cool. Back to my regular mic. No, you do not have to use 2 HyperDecks to do fill and key. It's built into the HyperDecks that have fill and key. And again, we go back to this page. One HyperDeck with that feature, the A and B out. That's all you need to do fill and key. So you're going to make a file, which we're going to show you right now, in like Adobe After Effects. You export it with an alpha channel, and then that graphic, when it's loaded on your HyperDeck, will play. And as long as you have the A and B plugged into the back of your HyperDeck, then you'll have an alpha. Channel, and you'll have a fill channel. And so you can do those kind of graphics. You will have to use 2 inputs in your HyperDeck. And on the back of my HyperDeck, it looks just like this. There's an A and a B channel right here. So takes 2 inputs on the back of your ATEM Extreme or whatever switcher you're using. Then you can automate the HyperDecks. So I can push a macro and my intro video will play. So watch, I'll push a macro, my HyperDeck will automatically roll and play my intro video. So here we go. Here's my intro video. And now I'm back to me. So have the audio turned off, so I don't know if it came back on automatically. Let me see, because I can't hear what you guys are hearing. Let me come over here and look at my audio channel. It's not on, but I will turn the HyperDeck audio follow video back on. So if you have audio follows video on the audio settings right here, this is my HyperDeck channel coming in. This is the A channel, comes in right here, and the B channel comes in right here. So all you have to do is turn on audio follows video right here. And then when I cut to my HyperDeck, it's automatically going to play the audio. And then when I cut away from my HyperDeck, it will stop. If I put my HyperDeck inside a SuperSource box like that right there, and it's live on my video, it's going to play the HyperDeck with audio right there. Because again, anytime that HyperDeck comes on in a key as a DVE or picture-in-picture, it'll play audio. If I pop it on the screen through a DVE, if I pop it on the screen through SuperSource, or if I pop it on the screen showing the full size view. So if I cut to my HyperDeck right now, I have my intro video queued up. So I'm going to cut to my my HyperDeck right now, and my intro video is going to automatically roll. That's the other powerful thing of a HyperDeck, is you can automate it. Cut back. And there we go. Audio is gone, and you were able to automate your HyperDeck using macros, and that's the power of that device. So let me bring this back over here. We'll look at the questions, and then I'm going to show you guys After Effects. So let's see. Yeah, you can also use a deck link card. Akil says, I got a HyperDeck for Christmas and I haven't used it. Gris says, see, is that on the screen? Yeah, Gris says you can use a deck link card in your PC or your Macintosh. Yep. And then a deck link card has a duo card has 4 SDI. It's out of it, if I remember right. And you can make those inputs or outputs, and you can assign 2 of them to be an A channel and a B channel. So if you just want to get a small PC, portable PC, you can put a deck link card in. You could use that like a HyperDeck, and then you have to have software to send the signal to like Pro Presenter, and there's other softwares out there that you can use on a PC or a Macintosh, and then you can use that software. So you can use a deck link duo card from Blackmagic Design. Let's go back to products. Capture playback cards. So here are devices also. Let's turn chat off the air real quick. These are devices as well that will be able to be hooked up through Thunderbolt. This Ultra Studio, the Ultra Studio 4K Mini, and the new Blackmagic Media Player 10G, which I do not think has been released yet. If you look at the Ultra Studio, you go to the back of that device. I think it's here somewhere, right here. You have fill and key on all of these devices. So they work from a PC or a Macintosh. You can use those. They're just like using a deck link card. Deck link cards are right here. And so you have, let's see. Are these deck link cards? Yeah, deck link 4K, 12G Extreme, 8K, and the Intensity Pro. This is only HDMI. but this card you can do fill and key on. This card you can do fill and key on. And I'm not seeing right now the regular DeckLink Duo card on this particular page. So they give you another option to be able to do fill and key. But again, you're not going to be making a file in an Adobe Illustrator and then exporting that, putting it on an SD card, plugging that into your HyperDeck, and then playing it in the middle of your show from your HyperDeck. You're going to actually have to have someone operating Pro Presenter while you're live, and they're going to have to then put those graphics on the screen. So that's great for like concert venues, concert productions where teams come in to present on screens, animated graphics, do conferences like TED Talks. Churches use Pro Presenter, and they'll send the lyrics to a screen on the back of the room so the people on the stage can see it. A lot of people do that as well for notes for presenters at conferences like TED Talks. So it's like a giant teleprompter in the back. You can send one thing through one of the SDIs to that screen, and then the other two monitors could have a whole nother image up there. You can also do fill and key through a DeckLink card, through one of these Ultra Studios. You can do that by plugging it into your PC or Mac through Thunderbolt, and you can also do it through a HyperDeck. You can also do it through a PC with a DeckLink card in it. So just keep that in mind as well. So these devices right here can do fill and key through Thunderbolt. These devices right here can be plugged into a Mac or a PC, and then you could operate those using software inside that Mac or that PC. And so again, there's all kinds of options for playing video on the screen, all kinds of options for doing fill and key variants, and there's also options that don't have fill and key. So now you have a bunch of HyperDecks that do, a bunch of HyperDecks that don't have fill and key, and now you even have these cards like the Intensity Pro that doesn't have fill and key either. So back to me and back to the chat. Let's see. So Keel says he got a HyperDeck for Christmas. I haven't used it yet, so I have questions about it. Thanks for answering. Cool. Gamer First, good to have you tonight. I use my HyperDeck shuttle for instant replay. It works amazing. Awesome. So thank you for joining us, Gamer First. That is cool. I've demoed instant replay before here on the channel, making macros. So I plugged my camera into the HDMI in of my shuttle, and then I have the HDMI out coming into my ATEM, and then I recorded a macro to record a segment and then replay it back. Record a segment and then replay it back. And if you had two HyperDecks, then you could have one recording and playing a replay while the other one continues to record, another macro to hit a replay, and you can automate between HyperDeck 1 and HyperDeck 2 because one of them will always be recording while the other one is playing back, because they can't record and play back at the same time. So you would have to find a way to bounce back and forth. Kris says, one thing I really like about the HyperDecks is the timecode support. Don't have to sync up recordings manually if you bring multiple sources in. Yeah, another great feature. What's going on with my logo tonight? Let's fix this. Chat on the air. That's over here. Okay, I've never had that happen before, but right now I do in my key number, that's 3, let's go to 4, and key number 4, Okay, there we go. No, it's mask. I do not have. Weird. Apologize for that. I'm having some technical difficulty tonight. Chat off. Juris says, chat on. It is cheaper and better to do a deck link, or is it cheaper or better to do a deck link or a HyperDeck? Advantages, disadvantages. Okay, that's a great question. Again, I'll leave that up there. So deck link card, you're going to have to put it inside a mini PC or mini Mac. Like, so you buy one of those cases and you put the deck link card in there. Then you're going to have to use it with a PC or a Mac. So again, it's not going to be the same as using a regular HyperDeck. A regular HyperDeck, you're going to make a file. We're going to go look at that here in a second. And then you're going to load it onto a little SD card and you're going to plug it in the front. The powerful thing about a HyperDeck 2, right, is that you have redundancy. So if I have two SD cards into it and I have it, this one's empty and this one's empty. Once this one's filled, a HyperDeck is going to spill over to the next card. So I could pull the first card out, say this is card 1, it fills up, spills over to card 2. I could pull card 1 out, offload all the files, plug it back in. Once card 2 fills up, it's going to come back to card 1. That's the advantage of a HyperDeck. They all have redundancy, 2 ways to record. So if you're doing a wedding and it's an all-day event, you want to record from the time people start setting up and getting up there as people are coming in to the right and left of the bride and groom, you could just record directly from your main camera into a HyperDeck and just have SD cards. You could have 12 SD cards, and once one fills up, just replace it with another card. You can record for 24 hours. That's the advantage. A deck link card would have to record to a PC, internal device, hard drive, SD drive, or to an external drive. You can also use a HyperDeck now with one of these. So if you need to record all day, then you could buy like a 4 terabyte drive, and you can plug this in the back of the HyperDeck, and in the menu now, you can choose the drive on the outside, and that would be the SD drive. So that's an option as well. So it's really 2 different things, Juris. So keep that in mind. It's not exactly the same process between the 2 of those. So deck link card really isn't better or worse. You would have to use like ProPresenter or some other software to export that. So if you're doing like a large venue and you have multiple screens, then yeah, a couple deck link cards might be needed. You might want to send 1 to 2 TVs in the lobby, an SD card to those, and split it and send the same thing to those. Have something different on the screens on the stage. You might want to have a confidence monitor on the stage, right and left for your speakers, and only send them their PowerPoint notes. Then you would probably want to get into a PC or a Macintosh version and use something like ProPresenter. If you're doing a studio work like I do, recording in your studio, doing live streamings, then a HyperDeck is great because I can just make the files, take the time to do it, plug these SD cards in with the files on it, and then I can roll those macros. The macro will automatically load the file I want, turn on the key I want, and then play that particular file from my drive. So now what I want to do, I think I caught up on one more question here. Okay. Then we're going to move on. Sorry about that going over my logo. Let me just turn my logo off. HyperDecks only take specific resolution and formats. I think if they built in FFmpeg inside and supported any format as input, that would have been great. One of the disadvantages. That is true. HyperDecks really only seem to support. I found one other codec it'll support for videos. Can't remember what it is. I did a bunch of testing, but they don't have licenses to ProRes or to some of those formats. So when you buy a HyperDeck, it has Apple ProRes or Apple formats. They have the license to that, so you can export that. If you have a PC and you download the free version of DaVinci Resolve, it doesn't have those ProRes files built in, so you can't export from ProRes, at least the last time I tested DaVinci Resolve. So that's an issue if you're trying to use the free DaVinci Resolve software to build your videos and export them. But I find that After Effects can export ProRes with alpha, so that's what I use. And that's where we're going to go right now to show you this file. Let me open up After Effects. Sip of coffee here. I've been talking too long. Adobe software takes a while to boot up. It's got to load all these files, and now there's fonts online. So it is loading in. Okay, let me open up recent files here. Okay, so now I'm in After Effects, and it's very similar to editing video. The difference is everything that I drop on the timeline, I have all these extra abilities to twirl it around the screen, add motion blur, add all kinds of effects. So if I just wanted to have a still image come on the screen, I can do these kind of animations easy in Adobe. But if I want to do these flying effects, it's a lot easier to do those in After Effects. So you build these type graphics, and I'm not going to go into how to build these, but it's very similar to how you would edit regular video. The difference is when I drop something over here that I want to use, let's just bring something in here for the fun of it. Let's go to pictures. Let's just add in, oh, it was there and now it's gone. Let's add this in. If it's going to let me drag and drop it. I got the Wheel of Death now. I'm not sure what's going on here. It's waiting for one of my spinning hard drives to spin up, which drives me crazy. Okay, I'll drag this in down here, loading it. So there's that graphic. So then I would go down here to this little arrow on the bottom left, open it up right here, and then click on transformation. And now I have the ability to animate all kinds of things. So if I want to animate the position now, or the scale. So let's go ahead and bring the scale down. Well, that's position. Let me scale down here. Okay, graphic, are you off the air? What did I do here? Let me go back, undo, 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 change value, undo, change value. Okay, so it is where here? There it is. So that I'm not using. Let's open up this top one, click on transformation. Here's the scale. So let's say I want it to start out big, and then right here I want it to scale down. So I'm going to turn down the scale anchor point. So now I've turned it on. So now I'm going to shrink it down. Oh, what did I shrink now? My header? Undo change, undo change. Okay, let's try this again. Turn on scale right here. Scale it down. So now it's going to be that size at the beginning. And then when I come up here, where the Indiana Jones comes on the air, let's scale it all the way up. And then we'll put it in the background, drag it down to the bottom. So now everything's on top of it. So now it scales up as this scales up. But I can do all kinds of other things under this section right here too. So turn it on and off, that layer on and off. So let's go ahead and let this increase. Pull it down to the bottom. I can turn it on and off. I can do rotations. And then over here, under the graphic, I have all of these options. So I can actually turn on motion blur and different things over here. And so After Effects just has all of these great features. Let's turn the eyeball off of that. And let's just go back and show you this animation. So this is all this does. It flies in great game, and that lands on the bottom, and then it flies in and says on the PC. So Indiana Jones' new game is great, a great game on the PC. So now if I wanted to export that, I go up here to File, I go down to Export, and then I'm going to add it to Adobe Media Coder queue, or I can export, or I can add to my render queue. The render queue is going to be down below the regular Adobe Illustrator software. And if I go to the Adobe Media Coder, that's a complete different piece of software inside Adobe's package. So let's just go to add to render queue. And then my render queue folder is right here. So it's sending it there, so we'll wait a second till the wheel of death stops. Okay, it's there. So I click on my render queue. My computer's struggling right now because I got a lot of things running on it. Okay, now I'm in my render queue. And then right here is where I can choose how I want to render it. And I have it set for high quality with an alpha. So if I click on the down arrow right here, post rendering actions none. I'm rendering QuickTime ProRes 444, which is a really big file. And I am rendering it with an alpha channel. I'm sending it to a folder in my PC. So now if I went over here and said render, it's going to render that animation, right? This animation right here. It's going to render that animation to a folder. It's going to be a QuickTime ProRes 444 file with an alpha channel. And so what does that look like? Okay, let's change back to me and a logo. Let's load in that graphic. Let's switch back here. And let's hit play twice. So there's the graphic. So that's showing you just the two channels. Then I can actually put that over top of me by turning that same key number 3 on the air. Let's double check my key number 3. What was it? Key number 2 on the air. So if I switch to me and a logo, turn my logo off. So that's an example of an automated animated graphic with fill and key on it. And it's a perfect segue to the last section tonight, which is we're going to talk about this new game, but I want to do Q&A before we get there. So I build these graphics when I want them inside DaVinci Resolve, or excuse me, inside Adobe After Effects. Put my other disc back in here so we can play the outro videos. So graphics like these, I design inside Adobe Illustrator, and then I export them. If they have an alpha channel, or I want an alpha channel, this one is not that complicated. It does have this little animation in a different version of it, but this is not that version. But when you get into graphics like this one, this definitely needs a key and fill channel. So that's a stinger, and that definitely needs it because it's got transparency around the edges. And as that flies across the screen, sorry, this way, as it flies across the screen, it needs an alpha and a key channel in order for it to work right. So I do that in Adobe After Effects. I design all those logos. I've done them for clients. And then if they have a HyperDeck, we can do it with transparency. If they don't have a HyperDeck that has key and fill, that I do it without transparency. And again, if you add a bunch of motion blur, all of that really helps if you have a key channel in the background, cutting out the background. Same thing with green screen. If I had a green screen behind me and I test the edge of that green screen, let's say the green screen's right here, and I do demo this inside my new part 2 of my extreme ISO getting started, which I'm almost done editing. I've got like 12 hours into editing that video because it's almost 2 hours long, part 2. But if I take the little dropper inside the Luma key and take away the green screen, the key is removing all the green, and I can put whatever image behind me. I don't have a green screen tonight, but that's how Luma key works. So it uses a key, crops everything out that's green and leaves everything it's not. So my monitor would stay, my microphone would stay. If I had green eyes, they would go. If I had a green shirt on, they would go. But everything that's on that green screen, what that green screen is behind of, that green would be taken out. And you might even lose these kind of greens if you had a green screen behind it, because it's very close to what my green screen color is. So that could disappear if I had a green screen behind me. So keep that in mind. So again, keying has been around a long time. Alpha channels have been around a long time, but knowing how to make them, how to export them using software like Adobe After Effects. And one of these days I'll do a demo of building a graphic in After Effects, show you exactly how to render it. But you just want to make sure that when you render it, when you export it, you're rendering it with an alpha channel. There's only a couple formats that work for that. You want, if you're going to use it with a HyperDeck, you definitely want to be using ProRes. So I export them all Apple ProRes 444 with an alpha channel, because I think that's the only alpha channel option that I have available in Adobe After Effects. So, okay, so let's turn that off the air and let's look to see if there's any more questions here that we need to cover. I found that I always have to use Apple ProRes, which for Windows user is a pain. I agree. Your shirt collar kind of changed when you enable that key. Yeah, it does, because it's an adjustment inside the macro. And that, again, that's the gain. Well, let's just show you guys. So we'll go into key number 2. So if you have pre-multiplied on, you don't have control over the clip and the gain. But if you have pre-multiplied on, it's supposed to be built into the alpha channel, and you really shouldn't see much color shift. But if you're saying we did have some color shift, probably talking about the Indiana Jones graphic. Let's load it. Yeah, it shifted. I'm not sure why it's shifting, but there's like a color layer on it. I don't know if I did something wrong when I built the graphic, but it definitely shifts the colors on the screen. So something wrong when I exported it, but I wanted to give you guys a demo of that tonight. So go back to me and my logo. So yeah, it definitely introduced some brightness to the whole image. I can see it actually on the screen in my little preview. So it's almost like a thin yellow layer, sort of. So you can go DaVinci Resolve to Adobe After Effects, then out to HyperDeck, correct? So can you go DaVinci Resolve to Adobe After Effects, then out to a HyperDeck? Yeah, you would make your file in DaVinci Resolve, bring that file, that video file, into After Effects, and then you should be able to render it from there with an alpha channel in ProRes. I've never tried it, but one of these days we'll do a demo of that. And all he's really asking is, if he already has a graphic designed, but he hasn't exported it as an alpha channel, can I open that up in After Effects and export it? You should be able to, because I can import pretty much any kind of graphic in there, and then I can just take any kind of picture, shrink it down, and ask for an alpha channel when I export it. As that animates across the screen, I could even make a gray transparent background, like a shadow, and then that would need a alpha channel. So that should be correct. I think I exported as QuickTime and it supported alpha channel. Cool. Well, again, do you have a Mac, Grish, or do you have a PC? If you have a Mac, I believe then you will be able to export out of DaVinci Resolve, the free version, with a alpha channel in ProRes, but I'm not sure you can with the PC. It's good to have you, Tony. We've been playing around with key and fill tonight. I'm showing graphics like this one. I'm showing the fill channel and the key channel. There you go. There's a fill and key. And if we take that graphic out, put in my other one, and hit this again. Hit it one more time. There's a key and fill channel right there, and that's what we've been talking about. So I do think HyperDecks are relative, and they still apply in 2025. I know a lot of people don't want to mess with them. There's a learning curve for sure. I have a video on the old HyperDeck Mini on my channel, a whole series on how to use it, how to hook it up. I have a video series here on my channel on how to use the new HyperDeck HD Plus, which will apply to all of the other ones. So again, if you want to learn how to use the HyperDeck and that's something you need help with, just go over to that video series. Let me bring up my YouTube channel here real quick, and I will copy the link so that you guys can use this link in the description. Let's go to my YouTube channel. Go to my playlist. Put this on the air. So HyperDeck Shuttle HD, I have a playlist for that. I have my old HyperDeck series right here. It's called HyperDeck Mini Series. Just go to my playlist on my channel. I have a series right here on the HyperDeck Studio HD Plus. That's the newer series. I have hundreds of hours of work on those video series. I have my new ATEM Extreme ISO getting started, part 1. I'm hoping to have part 2 up. I got to do some more editing tomorrow. I still have about 10 to 15 minutes of that video that I've got to preview again and make some repairs and changes before I can upload it. So there's plenty of options on here. So if we click on this HyperDeck series right here, get through the commercials. Create macros and run 3 HyperDecks back to back with a stinger. So there's lots of videos like that. And so here's 3 HyperDecks back to back. I'm using a macro. So there's all kinds of videos on the HyperDeck on my channel. Just pop over there. I will copy some links and put them in the description tonight. So let me go over here and change. Oh, what did I do here? Okay, let's go Adobe After Effects. Let me close this. Don't save. Cool. Close the files. And let's go like this. So I was a PC gamer before I ever started live streaming. I never wanted to go live about PC games. I have tons of them. I have Rubbermaid tubs full of PC games. And one of the first games that I ever played, and let me cut back to this other view, with my son, Kristopher, in a logo. Let me change the background. I don't know how that got programmed like that. But let me go to here. Was this game right here, Indiana Jones and the Search for Atlantis. And that is the graphics. So very, very low res graphics. Then they made a updated version. So it looks like this now. So this is the special edition. I don't own it. I am going to get that. But my oldest son, Kristopher, and I played that. So my confession is I bonded with my kids back when I was in my 30s. It was like 1992 or 93 when that game came out. And so for Christmas, my son Kristopher wrote me this nice note, and in it was enough Visa cards for Christmas to buy the game. He asked me what I wanted, and I said, I think it'd be really cool for you and I to play the new Indiana Jones game together. So it says right here on the front, I mean, this is my 40-year-old. He drew this to look like a map. He didn't have like map type colored paper. So he did this, put all kinds of effort into it. And it says a long time ago, a dad and his son went on a great adventure. It says alongside Dr. Jones, but a new adventure awaits. Only they can solve the world-changing events. And it says, you have found the keys to our next adventure. In the middle right there. And then he drew a map, all kinds of cool things. And I bought the game, downloaded it on Steam while he was still here during the Christmas holidays. And we played the opening scenes of that game. And that's really what I wanted to share with you guys tonight, because my confession tonight is, at heart, I'm still a PC gamer. And this game really is amazing. So let's see if we can just roll one of these game slots. Not going to let me, so let me escape out of that. I'll click on new game. I'm going to click on Peru and hit continue. Accept. Yes. Yes. And then we're going to let this load. Change one thing here real quick. Make sure my laptop audio is on. It is. Not sure you guys are getting any audio right now. Let me look at this again. Well, I'll just show you the graphics here real quick, which is all I wanted to do. You can look around the screen. This is a demo of the whole opening of the original movie, Indiana Jones and the Search for the Ark, Raiders of the Lost Ark, obviously. And so you go down here and you find the camp, you cross the river, you get pull the weeds back and see that Inca type statue, and it scares the one guy who runs off. The guide runs off afraid. I can go in front of those guys, and if I go off camera, they will stop. I could explore, and they'll wait for me down there a little ways, but I'll catch up with them. And we get down here to the clearing. They're going to go that side of the trail. I'm going to go down this side of the trail. I've done this demo for a while. And then you come over here, you click E, and then A to clear it. And this cutscene starts. And again, I'm not sure why the audio is not working here. Let me look at the software here again. My laptop audio is on. My computer audio choice is, oh, it's muted right here. Sorry, guys. We'll just follow these guys down here. Eventually they'll cross the river, but we come down here, and the one thing that's different than the movie is that we discover their camp in the game. Because evidently there's people that were searching that may have gotten killed inside the cave. And so we're actually going to come to their camp here on the left.
It would be crazy to make a fire on Norito land.
So here's the abandoned camp. Here comes our guide. We lost our guy who carries everything. He ran off. We're going to find a dart here. I love these cutscenes. Pretty soon we're going to have an Indiana Jones reveal.
Ovitos are near. Poison is still fresh, 3 days. They're following us.
If they knew we were here, they would have killed us already.
There is a lot of cutscenes on these where you just wait until they're over. Just expediting the game here so you guys can see this.
This is the jungle telling us to turn back. Go on, senor. Satipo.
This is again teaching you how to do things in the game. Time period. So for me, the confession is I had really cool memories of playing Indiana Jones and the Search for Atlantis with my son back when he was young. He's 40 now, so do the math. That was back in like 1992, 93, I believe, back when PC games were just those really old school sprites, like little teeny characters. And a lot of those games, because they were so good, have been updated. So for me, that is the incredible part of the journey. So let me turn my laptop sound off so nothing's playing in the background by accident. So Indiana Jones, this new game is an incredible adventure. So again, I am a PC gamer. I don't have a lot of time to do PC gaming anymore, but we did buy that game. He's going to come back over again next couple weeks, and we're going to hang out and play more of the game together, which is just fun to kind of catch back up with your kids. So I connected in a powerful way with my oldest son through that PC game journey. I turned this room into a man cave when we first moved in. I had that screen right there so I could play games on it with my PC that you guys were seeing chat on tonight. So again, Kris says he has a PC. So you have to have a NVIDIA card, probably a 2080 or better to really get the graphics. That was what you guys saw was the graphics set on low. I don't have a card that will do higher graphics, so now I can only play the game at low. I am going to update my card in my PC. I was playing tonight on my laptop, so it has a built-in 2080 card, but I am going to replace my 2080 Ti card in my PC with a brand new card this year so I can play these higher end graphic games. So Tony says, I'll watch the entire stream on replay. Cool. Kris says, greetings, Tony. I miss your videos and live streams. Appreciate it. Very cool gift. Yeah, I really want to say a shout out to Kristopher, and he'll be watching this video delayed. Never thought I would be watching Keith game out loud. I was born in 1936. So yeah, so Hank has been around for a while. So again, I think HyperDecks are relevant today. You just have to decide how you want to use them. You don't just have to use a HyperDeck. You can use the DeckLink cards. You can use the other devices that are available in Blackmagic Design's website. So again, in video production and in general, having a way to do fill and key is super important. And you guys got to see, what that looks like on the air tonight. And so I can use a stinger to change different camera angles to hide the transition, or I can just transition between camera angles with nothing hiding it. But it is really cool to have a stinger hide the graphics and create a macro. So I think HyperDecks are relevant in 2025. I think Blackmagic Design is going to continue to add more and more features, like last year, them announcing this new Blackmagic Player 10G. So it can be hooked up to a 10G network. I don't know when they're going to release this. The last time I talked to people at Blackmagic Design through email, it still was not available, and that was announced last April. So who knows when these devices are actually going to be available, but that's my confession. I am a PC gamer. I've never wanted to have a channel where I play games while you're watching, but I did want to give a shout out to the designers of that game. They did an incredible job. It's getting really good reviews. So let's just go here. And let's see, what would be a good one here to look at? Just look at PC Magazine. This is one of the worst reviews I've seen, a 3.5 out of 5. I've seen way better reviews on that game. I just picked that at random. Of course, I would pick someone who is saying it's not that great. Here's what IGN said about it. Let's scroll down to the bottom of their review, where they give their results. Here's what IGN said, which I used to own. I mean, I used to have a subscription to PC Gamer magazine, and I would read it. But now it's a website. I think you can still buy the magazine. But IGN is very well respected. They gave it a 9 out of 10. So again, a lot of those graphic games, Indiana Jones games that have been created over the years are not that great. So Atlantis was a great game way back when in the 90s. And this new Indiana Jones and the Great Circle gets a thumbs up from me tonight. And that's my confession. That's what I got for Christmas. We exchanged names. Kristopher picked me. And that's what I asked for Christmas. So he and I could play that game together again, and we could have another adventure like that. Sorry, it's so bright, but there you go. He designed that for me, and I really, really appreciate the effort that he put into this letter. And a 40-year-old will still buy PC games for his dad. So that's all I have for tonight. Let's see here. Chat on the air. Juro says NVIDIA has a new card, 570 watts for $1,000. You need your own power company. Yeah, the new cards have great technology in them. You need bigger and bigger PCs. You need bigger and bigger power supplies. I haven't looked at the cards that I'm going to potentially buy to see if they'll work with my my PC, but you guys can see the size of my card inside my PC here. Let's see, it's transition. But see how big that card is down there and all the power going to it. That's my EVGA RTX 2080 Ti. That was about a $500 video card when I bought it, and it takes up a lot of space in that PC. And again, I can put a DeckLink Duo card in there if I want to. I have space available down at the bottom. I've actually thought about adding a DeckLink Duo card into my PC. This is the NZXT PC that I bought specifically to do video editing and to do gaming. And I still have an HDMI behind it that feeds the big screen TV. Right now, I have my Apple TV coming to it from underneath my PC. It sends a signal all the way to that TV behind me, but I can unplug it if I wanted to and plug in my PC directly, and I could play Indiana Jones on that big 4K display right there if I wanted to. So shout out to Kristopher. I really, really appreciate his statement of love. This is by far a highlight to Christmas 2024 here at the Bennett house. So would be interested to do a collab between all of us who would like to do it, figure out a topic and each take a piece to do that mic'd up thing. Yeah, that would be a blast. I would love to do that, DJ Ware. So I don't know how I'd host that. There's software now for PC that I would really like to use if I'm going to bring multiple guests in. So that DeckLink Duo card would be a great addition to the studio this year, so that I could use then a software-based streaming platform to bring guests in that would be cheaper than some of the like Zoom ISO and things like that are out there. So we'll have to talk about that, DJ Ware, and see what happens in 2025. Do you have fiber HDMI going to that TV? How long is the run? No, I bought a really high-end cable. It's about 18 feet, I think they said. They make those cables from really high-end HDMI, so I have no trouble for it receiving a 60 frames per second refresh rate of 4K. Again, that's an older QLED TV. It's over 5.5 years old. I spent about $2,400 for that TV back in the day. Now they have faster refresh rates, and you need even faster HDMI cables if you want to do 4K. Now, the video you guys saw tonight was 1080p because that's what I'm streaming. So that's what you were watching, the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle game on, and at low video quality. So imagine if you could turn it up, use all the new effects in the newer NVIDIA cards. It is incredible. Even the textures on faces increase, the light on leaves and things increase, and they are ranting and raving about that game. So cool. Well, so we talked about HyperDecks. We showed you how you can understand fill and key. I hope that clarifies some things. I tried to answer all the questions tonight. So we are going to call it a night. It's been an hour and 45-minute stream. So I will not be live next week. Again, I apologize. I am going to try to finish editing my video tomorrow. I'm flying out on Thursday, early morning. So I only have tomorrow left before I fly out. I will be back in time to do a stream after that. And then I have another adventure possibly in February where I will be going to Vegas and I will live stream from a new studio, hopefully of a client of mine. That will be a blast, but I will not be able to be live next week. So keep me on your list for 2 weeks from tonight at 4 o'clock. I really appreciate it. Good night, Jay. Good night, Juris. Everybody head over to TVJ's channel because he's going to start in 15 minutes. TVJ is going live in 15 minutes. So subscribe and head over there. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. That's it for me. I think I have everything enabled. My audio is audio follow video on my HyperDeck. We're going to turn chat off the air. Good night to you too. Akil, I appreciate you being in the chat tonight. I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Till then, I'm Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios. Stay safe. Stay away from this new flu out there. And I hope to see you all healthy and warm in 2 weeks. Until then, ciao.